More than 30 hours of negotiations with the reported gunman in Dauphin County. Authorities bring it all to a peaceful resolution. Thanks for joining us. I'm Evan Forrester. We continue to follow that breaking news in Dauphin County, where authorities say a man shot a woman, then barricaded himself and two other people inside an apartment for many hours. Fox 43's Harry Lee live on the scene in Lower Paxton Township with the latest developments.
Well, Evan, police say that 36-year-old Derek Hutcherson was taken into custody and that both hostages he was keeping are safe. They're actually having a press conference behind me, and this follows nearly 34 hours of a hostage situation where police say that Hutcherson was firing at the crisis response team throughout the afternoon and evening. And since this press conference is happening, I'm going to just bring you in and let you hear what they have to say for a minute. So listen in.
Peaceful resolution, and I thank each and every one of them. And most importantly, I'm extremely thankful for the victim, that she's going to survive that vicious attack, and that for these three victims today, actually two victims are, and the suspect was obviously brought into custody without any grave harm to any of those subjects. And as you all know, this is not a routine situation. This is not a routine, if there ever were one, a routine barricaded gunman situation. This was of the highest stakes, and we took our time with that, ultimately with our two victims, the child and the grandmother, in hand.
You know, here's a quick question. You know, here's something that went on for so many hours, and we heard he was being uncooperative most of that time. What did it finally take for you guys to be able to kind of come to a peaceful resolution to kind of bring this to a close without any bloodshed?
So just to share a little bit about what our officers from the Dauphin County CRT and the Pennsylvania State Police CERT team went through. Over the course of those 33 hours, multiple shots were fired at our officers. Thankfully, none of them were struck. So obviously that took grave restraint for us to be dealing with that. And you know, when we're dealing with these situations, it's just simply patience and working through the problems and talking, letting the negotiators do their job. And again, patience. And ultimately, what we had to decide in this is what every incident commander loathes, and that is having to make a decision for a hostage rescue. And in this particular case, after that many hours, we basically spent all of our options. They were gone, and we got to a point where we had to do a dynamic hostage rescue with the Pennsylvania State Police CERT team, and that was done, ultimately saving those two victims and successfully taking that individual into custody without a single shot fired by any of our tactical members.
Can you explain what that means exactly, what you just said?
A tactical rescue very rarely is done. It's basically an aggressive, immediate action within a structure from every point of possible entry into that structure, with a whole host of implements to get into that structure, to create diversions, and to ultimately get in there and put those people into custody as quick as we can.
And could I just expand upon that, in that this individual was using these victims as human shields, including a 2-year-old child. And he did not show himself at all during those 33 hours, and was using these victims as human shields throughout, and was not showing himself in order to avoid arrest. And so it created a very difficult situation and a very difficult decision to end this. The 33 hours were spent trying to resolve this without further bloodshed, and now we're going to continue the investigation, and we're going to have an additional news conference tomorrow after we conclude the further investigation and elaborate more on the additional charges.
And what was his demeanor like when you took him into custody?
He was upset.
What role will that Facebook Live confession play in conviction? I mean, that's rare, right?
Well, you know, we're not really permitted to talk about confessions, but you know, we've recorded our interactions with this individual throughout the 33 hours, and you know, we'll be able to use those that interaction as evidence, and we're going to present that in the form of an affidavit when we file these additional charges.
Are you able to say anything about the 2-year-old and the older woman in terms of, were they able to eat, were they able to sleep, the condition that they're in now that this is over?
Yeah, that's something that we will address tomorrow. We're going to conduct further investigation, and we'll elaborate on that tomorrow.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
We know you're tired, so thanks.
Thank you.
And that was the press conference concluding the situation. Of course, everyone is thankful that there were no injuries at the end of the day, despite multiple shootings. We'll have more details as they emerge on this case. Live in Lower Paxton Township, Dauphin County, Harry Lee, Fox 43 News.